Hi gang, Scott Davenport here. Today's tip is about graduated filters. This came up a lot during the San Diego Coastlines workshop I just finished hosting this week. That also explains why I didn't have a Tuesday video. Sorry about that for my longtime viewers, but no worries, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be coming back with more videos. But the graduated filters in post-processing, whether you're using Lightroom, On1, Luminar, whatever it might be, those are really, really useful when you're doing seascape photography, especially at sunset or sunrise, when you're pointing into the sun, as you end up with a very backlit, shadowed foreground and usually a bright and hopefully colorful sky. And I want to show you one of the photos where using these adjustment filters really changed the dynamic of the photo and brought it back to life. So here is one of the sunset scenes from the workshop that had in San Diego here. And the end photo I really like. It's dynamic, plenty of interesting wash going around. But what I want to point out is this is not what I started with as far as the raw photo coming out. So something that happens when we're shooting into the sun, and this happens all the time for me with seascapes, is the foreground becomes very shadowed and the sky becomes very colorful. And a technique you can use is to take a couple of photos, one with the light still on the foreground and then another with the sky, and take them about 5 to 10 minutes apart, composite them together. Or you can use graduated filters. I want to hit the backslash key so you can see what the original photo looked like, right? We're starting to get the color up in the sky, but this layer of fog and haze that's out at the horizon, even right here where this wave is getting hit by the backlit sun, the water itself is blocking things from coming all the way into shore. And this rock picked up a little bit of that light, but a whole lot of shadow going on here with a series of graduated filters. This is all just in a single tool. No mask or no layering here going on, and a single frame, I should have said. This is what's possible. We can bring a lot of these details back. And just to show you, I've used several different graduated filters. And let me just pick on this one here and see what we're highlighting here. I think this would be the foreground, and you can see with the luminance mask over on the right side, I'm limiting this to the shadow areas. So this is actually bringing down exposure and increasing clarity, focusing on the shadow areas. What's the shadows? It's the rocks, the bits in between the whitewash of the surf, making sure I don't overly brighten things I want to have dark and strong. Another one here, let's check this one out. Now, this is more the classic, bring the foreground up, open it up. Now it's on the right-hand side, exposure has gone up, also increasing highlights. So any natural highlights that are in there, keeping those coming up as well. And that's a pretty healthy exposure boost. I also added some warmth, because as we saw, if I move away from that, and we saw with our before and after, before, very cool tones in the foreground, and after, warming that back up. I always treat white balance and temperature as more of a creative choice for my landscape photos, and so that worked out well here. Let's pick on one more, and this one is for the sky. So we've really got a reverse thing going on. Toned down the exposure ever so slightly, but added some coolness, brought the temperature to the cooler range. So that's reintroducing some of the blues that are still up in that upper part of the sky. Taking exposure down too far tends to make skies dingy. I'll show you what I mean. If I were to take the exposure down on this and just say, oh, I want to drop, by 20, 30, 40%. Yes, it gets darker, but it also gets kind of, grayish and losing a little bit of the color. So instead, a tiny tug on the exposure, and then to reintroduce some of that blue color, a temperature adjustment is also pretty handy. And I know I've talked about that in some previous videos as well. But really summed up, I just wanted to highlight how useful the good old-fashioned graduated filter is. Again, whatever tool you're using, highly likely you've got one, and you have a variety of controls for it: exposure, temperature, contrast. And if you have things like range masks or masking capabilities in the tools, use those to your advantage as well. But you can really bring back the details of a photo, going from this to this with a handful of carefully placed graduated filters. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. My name's Scott Davenport. Thanks for watching, and happy shooting.